How do you account for the popularity of the Dracula legend?
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, I've got some thoughts, but you've probably thought about this a lot longer than me if you're asking me. So I like the first part of Dracula. When it gets to the epistolary back and forths, I lose interest. That first part with him in the castle, seeing him walk down like a spider, that was like a big insect. And when he sees him in the coffin and talks about him like a big bloated insect with sticky blood on his, that was really frightening.
Yeah.
My wife and I would actually listen to an audio book of it before we'd go to bed at night, and we'd feel afraid, which was fun.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
I think it's an image of the Antichrist.
Yeah.
The sacred blood, but sucked out of us instead of given to us by a creature who uses his supernatural powers for evil, transforms something inhuman, something deliberately unnatural. The notion of nature, I think, is disappearing. The natural law is no longer reigning in ethics, and human nature itself is usually thought to be changeable. But deep down, we know that evil and the unnatural go together. That terrifying scene in The Shining with Jack Nicholson, where he visits these demonic creatures. You see a dog with a man's face, or a man with a dog's face. The devil loves to make things unnatural, hates nature.
That scene in The Shining with the woman in the bathtub I think is a good analogy for pornography and fornication. Because you've got this beautiful woman who tempts him, beckons him, he begins to give himself to her, and then sees the horror only after, right? I think fornication, pornography, when we act sexually, the temptation says to us, come to me and I'll give you the desires of your heart. And then it leaves you with a rotting corpse.
The book
filth.
that does that most effectively, I think, is Charles Williams' Descent into Hell, because the anti-protagonist falls in love with this woman who rejects him, and there's a demonic counterfeit of the woman who's perfect in every way, like the object of pornography. And he has to constantly make choices between the real woman and the false woman who fulfills all his desires, and he chooses the false woman.
Okay.
And it's not just the woman, but the whole world then becomes like this false woman.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed a step. So it's real life, and he wants this woman who rejects him, but there's another woman who's essentially the same in appearance?
This other woman doesn't exist.
Okay.
It's a demonic illusion. But he doesn't know that, and he doesn't see that, and he sees her as real, and as someone who will fulfill his every desire, as the real woman won't.
Yeah.
And he gradually learns that the only way to fulfill all his desires is to follow Satan's way, because he can do that. God won't.
When he encounters the illusion, does he think she's real?
Yes.
He doesn't summon her or know that he's
No.
And what's the first giveaway that it's? Does he know it's not her? What's the book? He
first does this in other areas. He deliberately tells lies when they're convenient, and doesn't do anything that displeases him. He learns that he can get away with it.
Yeah.
So he gradually prefers the dishonest world to the honest world in all its details. It's a terrifying piece. It's psychologically very subtle. It's not a horror movie. Nothing awful happens.
Oh, it's a movie.
No.
Oh, so I see your point. But yeah,
it wouldn't make a good movie because it's not visually stunning, but it's psychologically stunning. I assigned it a couple of times in a philosophy and literature course, and every time I assigned it, I had at least one student in the class say, I could not read this book. I was too overcome with terror.
Was it called Descent into Hell?
By Charles Williams.
Wow, I haven't heard of it, but I should read it.
Williams was something of a mystic, a good friend of C.S. Lewis's, and his books are not easy to read, but they're fascinating. They're supernatural thrillers. One of them, All Hallows Eve, has two protagonists who die on page 1.
Stay there. I'm just gonna.
They die on page 1. There are no flashbacks, and it's about this world rather than the next. Figure that one out.
He dies on page 1.
The two protagonists die on page 1.
And there's no flashbacks, but
it's not about the next world. It's about this world. There's another one, The Place of the Lion, which is the one that got Lewis interested in which the protagonists are Platonic forms. Platonic lions come and inhabit a real lion. Platonic butterflies. Everything is larger than itself.
Yeah.
And more than itself.
Interesting. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.